The No Fate channel, checking in. And on the last update of my computer, it had absolutely just died out of the blue. So now that I've had a few days to kind of process it, I've got some caffeine in here to kind of calm me down, ironically as it is. I thought it'd be good to give you an update about in a bit more detail as to what happened to the computer, how I knew what happened to the computer, what my plans are currently, and then what to expect going forward. So first and foremost, if you didn't watch the other video, don't worry, it wasn't that good. I was rendering a video, stepped away from the computer, came back, thought there was a power outage. The computer was absolutely dead. Turned out it wasn't the power that was out, it was the computer. So the first thing I tested was the power supply unit. It was actually less than a year old, the power supply unit. I was able to prove with the cup 2 pins that the power supply unit was in fact good. That wasn't the problem. I then tested the RAM. I took all the RAM out. I checked each individual RAM to see if the computer would actually boot. It wouldn't even boot, which means it wouldn't even turn on. There was no spinning. There was no indication of any aliveness to the motherboard, to the CPU. Okay, I tried it with every one of the RAM pieces, different iterations. Nada. So then I went ahead and changed out the CPU, right? The chip. I actually had an older chip that I knew would fit in the motherboard. I put that in. Nothing. Now, the only other thing it could have been, and this is a long shot, is that it could have been the graphics card, right? The graphics card could have went. My only argument to the fact that it wasn't the graphics card, at least my thinking, was that it didn't boot. Without the graphics card, it probably should have at least booted and then never really amounted to anything with regards to the screens or any of that junk. So even though I didn't have another graphics card to prove that it wasn't the graphics card, I'm pretty sure Occam's razor, if you never heard that term, look it up, Occam's razor, that it was the motherboard of all things. Now, so many people were super helpful. They had suggestions, they had ideas, they were supportive, and I appreciate all of it. It definitely a tough time overall, let alone just in that video. So having all that support was great. If this is your first time to the channel, give this video a like, show me some support down below, because I still need a lot of it because I'm gonna need a new computer. So some people had suggested just getting a new motherboard, right? If it's the motherboard, just get the new motherboard. The problem with that, a few things. This computer I put together myself, this Frankenstein computer back in the day for $630, used parts. It's an old architecture, so I'd have to buy a used, or I'd have to buy an aftermarket motherboard to fit the chip that I had in here. And unfortunately, I had actually planned, it's on my vision board to get a new desktop, but it wasn't gonna be for another 9 months, and it was gonna be on my terms. In my weird world, I was expecting to have 2 computers set up, and I would take my time putting over the files, getting the new computer set up just the way I wanted before starting to edit videos on it. But when you make plans, people laugh at you and computers die. So to repair the motherboard wouldn't make any sense, okay, in terms of sense for time and sense for money, because putting money into a motherboard with a chip that was old and outdated, frankly, this thing looks beefy, but for the rendering that I was doing, the chipset was really being put to its task. The other argument would be to use the existing components and get a new motherboard. And unfortunately, if I get a new motherboard, I'm gonna need a new chip, and I'm also gonna need new RAM. And buying those parts individually probably doesn't make much sense because of the time it's going to take to get all that stuff back into the computer. If you're not familiar, when you lose your motherboard, you lose like all of your program licenses that go with it. All your programming license, the biggest one being Windows, which means I have to buy Windows on top of it. So as you can see, trying to repair or reuse what's already in here, you can see that price mounting versus buying a new computer. So what I am currently doing in the process of right now, today, is I am working to sell some of the parts that are in here that are actually no good to me. The RAM being one of them, the graphics card, because when I get a new computer, it'll come with a new graphics card, and the chip that was in there. And I'm keeping some of the good stuff, right? So some of the stuff that may have use for me in the future, like the CPU cooler, and obviously all of the hard drives, and I'm gonna be keeping the power supply unit. So I'm keeping what's good. It also has a really beefy Wi-Fi card that I specifically purchased, and I'm keeping all that, and I'm selling the stuff that's gonna have no use or no longevity in my new computer. Next, I got a DVD reader, right? So it reads DVD reader, wow. I think I need some more coffee. I got a hard drive reader, so this is going to read all of the hard drives that were in there. I actually had four hard drives in there with a ton of data, over 8 gigabytes of videos and photos and backed up stuff. And I'm going to be transferring the stuff that I need onto my laptop. Now, one of the videos I haven't rendered yet, haven't made yet, is of the fact that I just got a laptop. Like many of you know, I got kids, the kids are in school, so I needed a laptop so the kids could go to school and I could use it as well. So I have a new laptop. It's not that strong for video editing, but it can get the job done, but it doesn't have like a big memory. So I'm only moving over certain files in order to just create the bare bones videos that I have already, kind of shot and just haven't edited together. So I'm moving that over, and I'm moving any pertinent files like, Excel stuff, small stuff like that over with that copier. And then we're going to get into the new computer. So the next step obviously is try to raise some money by selling parts, move the files over, keep the process of videos going, even if it is kind of bare bones budget. You'll probably notice a lot of the graphics that I've used in previous videos just don't pop up, like the subscribe button that usually pops up right here. Yeah, go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So my next step is to buy a new computer. And of course, many people are like, well, you can buy used, you could build your own. I'm not going to get into why I'm not going to build my own. I've done it before, and I will actually make a whole video about why building your own isn't really worth it. But what I am going to say is I am going to buy a new computer. So buying used, unfortunately, unless you're really good with computers, and I'm like, it comes with a lot of issues. And I'm putting this together just as an example. Years ago, when I bought most of the pieces off of Craigslist, I didn't realize that the motherboard that I had purchased at the time, I got kind of like gypped, or I got kind of like hosed, because I bought a big package deal from a guy on Craigslist, and most of the pieces worked perfectly, but there was a few small things that I didn't notice when I was picking it up. And Bob's your uncle, the guy, had spoofed his phone. So when I went to call him back just to see if he had actually had extra parts, like one of the legs to this hard drive, one of the legs to this desktop was missing, right? And believe it or not, it wasn't a big deal, but trying to get an extra like little leg from Cooler Master was a pain. So I'd call them just to see if it had fallen off in his car or something. Lo and behold, he had spoofed his phone. So he probably knew exactly what he was doing when he was selling this package to me back in the day. So buying used really isn't up my alley, so it comes down to new. So there's two options. I could go budget with buying a new desktop and kind of get what I need to get the job done. And the reality is it would work, but I probably wouldn't be happy with it. So what I'm going to do is twofold. I am going to try to figure out exactly what I am looking for based on my personal needs with regards to processing power and with regards to space. Because I do have a lot of hard drives that I'm going to want to store, probably not necessarily all into the computer, but I want to have like a pretty good hard drive space, because I do tend to shoot in 4K and then edit it down from there. So I'm going to figure out what I want, and then I'm going to start building out packages on different websites. There's a few that I have in mind, and then starting next week, or if you're watching this probably this week, I'm going to start looking for sales. For those of you who don't know, next week there's like Amazon Prime Week, and a lot of other companies, Walmart, Target, Staples, and like a host of other online retailers are following suit. If you're coming to this video late, it is October 2020, and a lot of the delivery individuals, FedEx, UPS, DHL, they're raising their rates come November and December because of the holiday rush. A lot of the online sellers are trying to beat that rush by getting your money in October before the usual Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I'm hoping to pick up what I'm looking for and save a little bit of money in the process. And of course, I'll take you along with me as it goes. So what am I looking for in terms of cost? Everywhere from as low as $1,200 to as high as $2,000. Now, there's a big range, but I am looking to get what I want so that once I have it and have everything set up, I don't have to worry about it for years to come. So hopefully you found this informative. Hopefully this has gotten you updated, and hopefully you're going to stick around for the ride, because, man, I'm feeling down, but now that I have a plan, we've got it out there, I feel a bit better about moving forward. Now, I'm not excited about the bill, of course, but hey, moving forward. Now, if you want to help me with the bill, here's 2 free ways you can do it. 3 free ways you can help me with that bill. Number 1, like this video. Number 2, comment. Number 3, click on the Amazon affiliate link in the description. It's a link, takes you to Amazon, and then whatever you buy at Amazon, hey, doesn't cost you anything extra, but a few pennies come back in here to pay for the lights, or in this case, pay for the computer equipment that needs to get replaced. I appreciate all your support, especially over the next 2 months. You're probably going to see some real budget videos coming out from me with a lot less editing and prestige, as I personally like to put out, but we're going to rather put out something than put out nothing. So listen, if you came this far in the video, as usual, thanks for watching, and don't save anything for the trip back.